Hello everyone. I hope you and your family members are safe and healthy in this COVID-19 crisis. This is JSA broadcast episode 2, where we will be analyzing the effect of COVID-19 crisis on private equity and compliance of various laws and simplification thereof by the government. I wish to invite my partner Siddharth Shankar, who will be dealing with the effects of COVID-19 on private equity.
Thanks, Sandeep. I'd like to break this into three buckets: the negative effect, the positive effect, and what industry will do to adjust to this situation. So, starting with the negative effect on the private equity, I believe there'll be implications on the fair value. The first thought goes to the December 2019 NAVs. How will the discounted present value of the future cash flows incorporate the new market information? Could the secondary prices embed much higher discounts? Would the discount disappear when the March 2020 NAVs come out? This needs to be seen. During the growth period, the ratio is usually positive, which implies that the cash produced is more than the cash invested. During the down market periods, normally characterized by less liquidity, the ratio becomes negative. So more cash than produced is absorbed by the PE. This can add liquidity tension to the portfolio. Exits will certainly and inevitably drop, and the holding periods of some assets will extend as the sellers sit tight and wait for markets to recover. On the positive sides, not many, but the dry powder will become more precious. The GPs have not put their committed capital to work because the deals were too scarce or expensive, becomes more competitive advantage. Cash on hand during times of crisis has its benefits and is a reasonable predictor of attractive returns, in my view. And lastly, how will the industries adjust? Well, the sector expertise will become more critical than ever. Turbulence reshuffles the deck, so understanding what will differentiate the winners from the losers in any subsector is imperative right now. The post-COVID world for some industries will forever be changed. Funds will need sector expertise to place smart bets on how future will play out. The scope of due diligence will change. No one saw the pandemic coming, but it highlights the importance of modeling a range of scenarios in due diligences and preparing for the worst. A good example highlighted by the current crisis is the importance of gauging targets' resilience to supply chain weakening.
Thank you, Siddharth. Private equity funds invested substantially in last two financial years, that is 18-19 and 19-20, and we will have to see whether they have continued interest to invest in Indian businesses for the present financial year, which is 2021. Now I wish to invite my partner Rupinder, who will be speaking on the employment law related measures taken by the government to combat COVID-19 crisis.
Thank you, Sandeep. Well, there is quite a lot to cover here, but let me try and share my thoughts briefly. The central and the state governments have announced various measures over the last couple of months from both employee and employer perspective. And let's quickly run through some of these measures. I would say one of the most important one really is the order dated March 29, 2020, issued by the Ministry of Home Affairs under the Disaster Management Act. This order requires that during the lockdown, all the employers should pay wages to their workers on due dates without any deduction. As of today, this order has the force of law, and any contravention will lead to legal implications. However, there is a lot of debate and confusion with respect to this particular order, and the same has been recently challenged in the Supreme Court as well. Moving on, Ministry of Labor and Employment has advised all the organizations to refrain even from terminating the employees or reducing their wages. Moreover, and in fact, subject to certain criteria, the Government of India will contribute to the employer and employee contribution towards the Employee Provident Fund for the next 3 months. Also, certain relaxations have been given in terms of the extension of dates for filing of ESI contribution and payment, submission of notices, filing of returns, and other forms. Now, quickly talking about some of the measures at the state government level. there have been a lot of advisories, may not be binding as such, but these are more of advisories, which talk about promoting work from home, and that during such time, employees are required to be treated as on duty, to be paid in full, while others have advised not to terminate employment. And we are already aware that the courts in India are employee friendly. Some have even gone to the extent of issuing detailed guidelines with respect to health, safety of workers, medical insurance as well, and maintaining hygiene at workplace, and requiring employers to grant 20 days leave, paid leave, to any infected employees. Ministry of Labor and Employment has also set up around 20 control rooms across the country to deal with any complaints and queries. So I would say, to sum it up, while some of these measures are really helpful in the current situation and the current difficulties, but there are also some practical challenges which are being faced by employers, and particularly by companies facing financial difficulties. Thank you.
Thank you, Rupinder. The well-being of employees, whether permanent, temporary, or contract workers, have been primary concern during COVID-19 crisis. Now I wish to invite my partner Lalit, who will speak on measures taken by the government under the Companies Act and related provisions to combat COVID-19 crisis and for ease of compliance processes for companies.
Thank you, Sandeep. A slew of measures have been taken by the government. A lot more is expected soon. Some of the important ones are: the Ministry of Corporate Affairs has announced that COVID-19 spending would now be covered under the Corporate Social Responsibility Activities under Schedule 7 of the Companies Act, but this will be limited only to the promotion of health, preventative healthcare, sanitation, and disaster management. The MCA later clarified that this does not include contributions made to the CM Relief Fund. So, if companies plan to make this contribution to the CM Relief Fund, they should bear in mind that it will not qualify as an eligible CSR expenditure. The MCA has further advised that companies and limited liability partnerships will implement work from home as a temporary measure till March 2020. An important relaxation that has been announced is with respect to holding of board meetings. This includes exemption from the requirement of holding physical in-person board meetings on important matters such as approval of financial statements, board of directors reports, and other restructuring. This is available till June 30th, 2020. Holding of the extraordinary general meetings, the EGMs, through postal ballot, e-voting, video conferencing, and other audio-visual means has been permitted till June 30th, 2020. Again, from April 1st to September 30th, 2020, there will be no additional fees for the late filing of forms with the registrar of companies. This will come as a great relief to the companies. Starting April 1st, 2020, and for the next 2 quarters, that is through September 30th, 2020, the time period to hold the mandatory board meetings has been extended by an additional period of 60 days. This will mean that the board meetings can now be held with a gap of 180 days. The resident director's minimum mandatory requirement of staying for 182 days in India has been exempted. This too is a great relief. Therefore, now the non-compliance will not be treated as a violation, but this is available only till September 30th, 2020. The applicability of the company's auditor's report Order 2020, that is the CARO 2020, will now be made applicable from financial year 2021 instead of 2019 and 2020. This will significantly ease the burden on companies and their auditors for the financial year 1920, because the enforcement of CARO 2020 at this stage would have resulted in additional compliances for companies and due diligence and disclosure measures on parts of the auditors. Newly incorporated companies have additional 6 months time now to file their commencement of business forms. Holding of AGMs for companies whose financial year has ended on 31st December 2019 has now been allowed till September 30th, 2020. These are great measures, and I think that companies will take little time to absorb all these measures, but I am confident that they'll make best and full use of this. Thank you, Sandeep.
the government of India has tried to ease burden of compliance with the provisions of Companies Act for the Indian companies. Now, the next speaker is my partner Kumar, who will speak on measures taken in relation to direct tax and allied laws pursuant to COVID-19 crisis.
Thank you, Sandeep. So relaxations have been provided to give relief to businesses owing to COVID-19 situation by way of an ordinance promulgated by the President on 31st of March 2020, as well as subsequent orders of CBDT. Deadlines under the Income Tax Act and allied laws such as wealth tax, securities transaction tax, commodities transaction tax, equalization levy, Benami Properties Transactions Act, and black money law, etc., whether for issuance of notices, intimations, orders, or for making submissions, or filing reports or appeals or other actions that are due from March 20th, 2020 until June 29th, 2020 have been extended to June 30th. And these include last date of filing income tax return for financial year 18-19, last date to link Aadhaar and PAN, and last date to settle disputes under Vivad Se Vishwas scheme without paying any additional interest. This deadline may be further extended and different dates may be notified for different actions. Delayed payment of advance tax, TDS or TDS or TCS during March 20th to June 29th shall be subject to reduced interest of 0.75% per month instead of higher tax rates applicable under respective provisions. No penalties and prosecutions permitted for such delays. Taxpayers can make investments in saving instruments and take necessary actions under Section 54 to 54 GB of Income Tax Act for claiming rollover benefit or allowances in respect of long-term capital gains until June 30th, 2020. Taxpayers to whom approvals have been granted by SEZ on or before 31st March 2020 can commence manufacture of articles or provide services referred to in Section 10AA of the IT Act until June 30th, 2020. CBDT has extended the validity of lower tax withholding certificates issued to taxpayers for financial year 1920 to June 30th, 2020. Where the taxpayers do not have such certificates for financial year 1920, a modified procedure has been prescribed for making an application, and certificates for the shorter time periods can be issued. In case of non-resident taxpayers having permanent establishment in India, to whom such certificates were not issued in financial year 1920, payers are directed to withhold tax at 10% until June 30th, 2020, or an earlier date when a new certificates would have been issued to the taxpayer. As in case with all matters that concern taxes, these are broadly the implications of the relaxations provided due to COVID-19 situation. It would be advisable to look at the fine print, as different applicable sections may still have a variation for different taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Kumar. Now, last but not the least, I want to invite my partner Manish to speak on indirect tax related measures taken by the government in dealing with COVID-19 crisis.
Thank you, Sandeep. So, indirect taxes, as we all know, are taxes which are leviable on transaction. And as and when the GST law was introduced, the timing for payment of such taxes has been linked to the raising of invoices by the businesses. Now, all my colleagues have explained that there is a liquidity crunch which is there in the market due to suppressed demands. So there is going to be a significant stress on working capital of businesses, which may lead to default in GST payments, and it may also result in short realization of invoices and bad debts. Now, as an immediate measure, recognizing the enormity of the problem, government has relaxed the timelines for filing of returns for the month of March, April, and May to the last week of June, and has also relaxed the levy of interest for businesses having turnover of less than rupees 5 crores, where there is a complete waiver of interest for delayed payment of tax, and for businesses where the turnover is more than 5 crores, there is a full waiver for 15 days, and there is a relaxation in the rate of interest to 9%. However, going forward, there have to be many steps which may need to be considered by the government to ease the liquidity crisis. First of these steps could be to consider relaxing the laws in terms of payment of GST on collection basis instead of linking it to the raising of invoices, which may be considered for the financial year 2020-21. There are no provisions today which exist in the law for issuance of credit notes for short realization of invoices and bad debts, and this may be addressed in future. Input tax credits, which are effectively working capital for businesses, have certain restrictions which are contained in the law, and those restrictions may be eased. Specifically, to say that the provision which calls for payment of the invoices within 180 days may be relaxed, and also the timelines for the claiming credits may be extended, which is right now 30th September of the succeeding financial year. Further, the provision which calls for matching of credits on the GSTN portal and allowing only 10% of the unmatched credit to the businesses needs to be relaxed. Another important point is that with the crude oil hitting an all-time low, this might just be the right time to consider including petroleum products under the GST ambit. While one understands that the constitutional framework and the structure of the law is quite complex and this may take time, an immediate need is therefore including the aviation fuels under the GST ambit, which is going to give a significant relief to the airlines, which are already reeling in with the closure of businesses and suspension of operations. And once the ATF is brought under the GST ambit, they would be able to claim the credits of duties which are charged by the oil companies on supply of such fuel. This may kind of lead to a significant relaxation for them in terms of easing their working capital woes. However, one may also see significant relaxation in terms of GST rate cuts and reductions, but that is something which one may see happening in over a period of next 3 to 6 months. So these are largely the measures which have been taken and which need to be taken from an indirect tax perspective.
Thank you, Manish. COVID-19 crisis has affected several countries, human beings, economies, and businesses. JSA team will continue to analyze effect of COVID-19 crisis on M&A, private equity, and investment transactions. Thank you very much.